What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, in this particular video, I want to add something that I omitted in my other video that I just did about Larry Johnson and Shawn Kemp. I want to give a shout out to Clayton Phillips, once again showing love to the channel with a $10 donation via the PayPal. But I also want to add a note that Jimmy Cash added that I didn't see. Jimmy Cash says, quote, "Great commentary, stay on the LeBron sexuals next." Yeah, I will. You know, like I said, it's gotten to the point where they think that the dude that they like can't be criticized. They think that you have to accept him as the GOAT. And anything that doesn't meet those requirements falls short. They call you a hater. They try to flag your stuff, man. And like I said, I know I got a pretty good idea about who's doing that. I have a really good idea, pretty good idea about who's doing that. And it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. So it is what it is, man. But thank you guys for showing love to the channel as usual. So, as the Memphis Grizzlies still found a way to lose last night, I believe against the Portland Trailblazers, and they're now 0-6. And by the way, don't ask me what I think about this end game, this end season tournament thing. I don't care. I'll be honest with you. I don't care. It's just another one of, it's another one of Adam Silver's gimmicks. I don't care about it. I'm not following it. I'm a bit of a traditionalist. All I care about is who won the NBA championship at the end of the year. This in-game tournament thing, I really don't care. I really don't. It's not something that's going to grow on me. I don't care. I really, it's just stupid. It's just dumb. So, it's the wrong channel to follow as far as thinking I'm going to really get into that and follow it. I know it has something to do with the postseason to an extent. I don't know, man. Whatever the outcome is, I'll report it, but I really don't care. It's just stupid. But anyway, the Memphis Grizzlies are 0-6. And I understand they don't have Ja Morant. And I understand that they don't have Steven Adams. Okay, I get that. We get that. But history has shown that the Grizzlies are a team that can still win games without Ja Morant. Hell, a couple of years ago, what was it, 2 years ago? They actually had a better win percentage without Ja Morant than they did with him. Now, I'm not saying they were a better team without him, but they were still a pretty decent team. So nobody expected them to be amongst the leaders in wins by the time Ja Morant come back, but at least we expecting like 500 ball. You know what I'm saying? At least 500. At least 13-12, 14-11, 11-14, something along those lines. That would have been reasonable. But on 6, nah. Including giving the Wizards, I think, their only win so far this year. So I say all of this to say this. Why does it seem like the only damn coach in the NBA these days that ever seems to be on the hot seat is Doc Rivers? Why is that? Why is Doc Rivers the only guy that's ever on the hot seat in the NBA? It doesn't make any sense. Because even with Doc Rivers, and look, I've told you I think Doc Rivers is overrated to me. That's just my opinion. I don't think he's a top 10, 15 all-time coach. I think that's BS. I give him top 30, 35, but not top 10, 15. But even with all of that, Doc Rivers has an NBA championship. Okay? Doc Rivers also, you could say, has a history of having meatballs as players. When I say meatballs, I mean guys who are choke artists. Paul George. Can't say Kawhi Leonard's a choke artist, but sometimes he is not available. Joel Embiid, one of the big choke artists in the history of the NBA. Last year, he had probably one of the biggest point differentials, if not the biggest point differential for an MVP between the regular season and playoffs. Not to mention, James Harden. His name, precedes itself. So, and then, we're talking about a guy who, at least in Doc Rivers, is getting to the postseason every year. So Taylor Jenkins is not a coach on the level of Doc Rivers, but on 6? At what point do we start saying, okay, how many games they got to lose in a row before we stop hearing him say, oh, well, I'll take accountability. I'll take accountability. Also considering the fact that when you look at the Memphis Grizzlies last couple of years, the way they've unceremoniously been dumped in the playoffs, Grizzlies and the Warriors and the Lakers last year, you could argue that, you know what I'm saying, Taylor Jenkins been outcoached thoroughly each time by Steve Kerr, and then Darvin Ham. And Steve Kerr is no mental giant when it comes to strategy, but both times he's been thoroughly outcoached, outgunned, outmanned, especially in the four quarters of those games. So I say to you, at one point, this Taylor Jenkins end up being on the hot seat. I just don't understand it. It's like some coaches, I'm looking at the NBA, and some coaches, like, they just, they get so many breaks. Hell, I've seen people already ready to put the Milwaukee Bucks head coach on the hot seat after 5 games in the fucking NBA. Excuse me for cursing. Right? 5 games. They're ready to put dude on the hot seat, right? When you start doing that for Billy Donovan? When are people going to hold Billy Donovan and the Chicago Bulls front office accountable? Because it don't make any sense now. Once again, it's like we're on the verge as Chicago Bulls fans of another disastrous, disappointing season, and I'm tired of them always blaming the players. At some point, you got to look at the coaching and the front office. When are these people going to be held accountable? See, this is why I like the old sports media. To be honest with you, and please don't knee-jerk off what I'm going to say. I kind of don't like this new media that has been so-called diversified. And I'm going to tell you why I say this. And someone said this and it makes perfect sense. Even though you have a more diversified media, you have a lot of people who are just happy to have those jobs, happy to be in those positions, grateful to be in those positions. They don't like to rock the boat. Vis-a-vis, they don't want to go outside their comfort zones as far as criticizing people. You know what I mean by that? So they keep their criticisms to the players. People who got power, but people who really don't have the power to affect their employment. Whereas the old school media, I'm sorry, they went after the owners. They went after the coaches. The coaches. Do you think Mike Ditka would have got fired as early as he did in today's media? No. Well, the guy won a Super Bowl, one of the great coaches, the great defenses, and beloved of Chicago, and blah, 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 blah. He won't get the job done. You think that they would have held Pete Rose as accountable today as they did back then? No. Because he would have had this weird protection. And I'm not trying to tiptoe, I'm not trying to talk on that particular issue like that, but I got to be honest. It's backwards. So why is Doc Rivers the only coach that's held accountable in the NBA? It doesn't make any sense. I don't care if John Morant's not available for 25 games. Wait, what the Grizzlies get to go 0-25 and that's an excuse? So that's the only thing I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.